Hello and welcome back to Humans and Society. This video focuses on the topic of human civilizations under the subject Understanding Culture, Society, and Politics. History of man has been divided into five major sections called eras. Each historical era is marked with a milestone event that signals its end and the beginning of a new era. Prehistory is from the first appearance of humans to the invention of writing. Ancient history is from the invention of writing to the fall of the Roman Empire. The Middle Ages is from the fall of the Roman Empire to the discovery of the Americas. The Modern Age is from the discovery of the Americas to the French Revolution. And the Contemporary Age is from the French Revolution to the present day. The evolution of man from primates marked the beginning of prehistory. We are only able to speculate about their way of life through the fossils and artifacts that have been dug up in early settlements. The Paleolithic Age is also known as the Old Stone Age, and it was estimated to have begun around 2.5 million years ago. During this time, early man used unpolished stones as their tools to collect and prepare food, mainly through hunting animals and gathering fruits, vegetables, and other crops. Because of this, man does not stay in a particular area, and they developed a nomadic way of life, moving from place to place when food has ran out. Man lived in caves for their temporary shelter, and proof of this are the cave drawings, usually depicting the story of a hunt. During the Paleolithic Age, man also developed basic language and counting by putting notches on animal bones. The most important event that happened to man at this time was that they were able to use fire. Fire was able to provide light and warmth during nighttime and safety from predators, as most animals were afraid of it. Through fire, man was also able to cook their food, improving the taste and getting more nutrients that developed their brain. This improved brain function made man smarter than other animals and heralded a change in their lifestyle. The Neolithic Age, also known as the New Stone Age, happened around 10,000 BCE. Man improved their tools, using polished stones and simple machines. They also learned to plant crops and domesticate animals, both for food and to help with their daily activities. Because they are able to make food, man no longer had to keep moving in order to find food. Several families stayed together and formed early communities. These communities always formed along bodies of water, like rivers and lakes. Some learned to trade with other communities, which helped the spread of more complex languages. The development of writing marked the beginning of ancient history. This is especially important as man is able to record the events around him using words that people from other cultures and future generations will be able to decode and understand. The Age of Metal is divided into three sections, named after the metal that was most prominently used during the time. The Copper Age was from 4000 BCE, the Bronze Age from 3300 BCE, the Iron Age from 12 BCE. During these times, there have been advancement in agriculture. Man was able to develop weapons and began empires and states. As more and more people lived together, cities, kingdoms, and empires were formed. In Asia, the earliest empires were formed around rivers. The Fertile Crescent is an area around the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, also known as Mesopotamia, or the land between two rivers. The empires formed in the Mesopotamian land were the Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, and Babylonian empires. This area is now known in the Middle East as the country of Iraq. In the Indus River formed the Harappan civilization in the area of Mohenjo-daro, covering land in present-day India and Pakistan. From the Huanghe River in China, also known as the Yellow River, rose the 12 dynasties of China, starting with the Xia dynasty. The others were Qin, Han, Xin, Jin, Sui, Tang, Wushu, Song, Yuan, Ming, and Qing. In the Southeast Asia, kingdoms all over Thailand, Cambodia, Brunei, Laos, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Burma, or present-day Myanmar, formed around the Irrawaddy, Salween, Mekong, and Red rivers. These societies and the communities in the islands of Indonesia and the Philippines frequently interacted through sea trade. They also traded with India, also through the sea, with China through the Silk Road. In Africa, the Egyptian kingdoms formed around the Nile River, the longest river in Africa. Other kingdoms that formed around the Nile River are the Nubia Kingdom in Sudan and the Kingdom of Axum in Eritrea and Ethiopia. The city of Carthage formed along the Lake Tunis in Tunisia. It was one of the most important trading hubs and one of the richest cities in the classical world. The ancient kingdom of Numidia formed along Moluya River and covers land across what is today known as Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and Morocco. In North America, Native American tribes lived around the five Great Lakes: Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Notable tribes that lived there were the Chippewa, Fox, Iroquois, Potawatomi, Sioux, Huron, and Ottawa. In South America, the Amazon River became home to the Mayan, Incan, and Aztec civilizations. Many ancient people transmigrated to Australia and the Pacific Islands when there were still land bridges. Later, they learned to sail from island to island to find their permanent home. The Aborigines stayed in Australia. Those who traveled the Pacific Ocean formed the Polynesian civilizations of Hawaii, Samoa, Tahiti, Tonga, and Maori in New Zealand. In Europe, the Minoans and Mycenaeans were the ancient civilizations that formed in Greece. The Minoans lived in the island of Crete, while the Mycenaeans lived in mainland Greece. They were the first people to speak the Greek language. After the fall of the Mycenaeans rose the Hellenic civilization. This was known as the Golden Age of Greece, where city-states such as Athens and Sparta flourished. In Northern Europe, the Norse civilization was created by the Viking clans. They are a seafaring group, and some of their ships traveled all the way to North America. The most powerful empire in history was the Roman Empire, which conquered most of Europe, the entire northern Africa, and large parts of North and West Asia. Before we continue, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications. Comment below for topics you would like to be discussed in future videos. The Middle Ages was the time that divided the Classical Age and the Modern Age. After the fall of the Roman Empire, a lot of knowledge was lost through wars, and leaders controlled people through land and religion. Feudalism is the social system followed by Europe during the Middle Ages. This is characterized by the rule of an all-powerful king or queen, called an absolute monarchy, with nobles who own the land, knights who protect the land, and peasants who work the land. The Age of Exploration happened during the Middle Ages. During this time, the royals sent fleets of ships to explore the seas to look for new land for resources and also to spread religion and culture. These royals were the Tudor dynasty of England, Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain, Louis XIV of France, Prince Henry of Portugal, and William I from Netherlands. Religion played an important part through the Middle Ages, as evidenced by the Crusades. This is a series of military excursions of Christian armies against the neighboring Islamic cities. Renaissance means rebirth in French, and this period signals the rebirth of learning in Europe. The Renaissance was a time of revival of classical knowledge and art. During this period, science, art, and literature flourished throughout Europe. The speed with which knowledge was gained and utilized marked the beginning of the modern age. During this time, many changes happened that brought the world together, but also tore the world apart. The scientific revolution marked the beginning of modern science with the developments in astronomy, mathematics, biology, chemistry, and physics, which changed the way man views the world around him. The Age of Enlightenment, also known as the Age of Reason, was the period of intellectual and philosophical movement that changed the political landscape of Europe. The Industrial Revolution was characterized by the invention of machines that replaced people in the creation of goods, leading to faster production both in agriculture and craft. It shifted the economy from agricultural or land-based to industrial or factory-based. The Reformation is a religious movement that aimed to address the problems with the Catholic Church, which resulted in the formation of the Protestant branch of Christianity. This refers to any religious group that separated from the Roman Catholic Church due to differences in belief and practice. Nationalism is the movement of the people to create a government not ruled by a king or queen, but by a person that the public voted to office. This started in France, which resulted in the beheading of many royals. It is also the movement of the colonies towards freedom from the colonizers and the desire for self-governance. This resulted in the likes of the American Revolution against Britain and the Philippine Revolution against Spain. The contemporary age is called as such because it is argued that someone still alive today has experienced it during their lifetime. Granted, there are only a few thousand of them. Still, the events of the past 100 or so years are grouped as an era of history. The Great War, later known as World War I, lasted from 1914 to 1918. It is one of the deadliest wars in history. It left over 8 million military personnel and almost 7 million civilians dead. The conflict centered mainly around the European continent, but it spread throughout the Middle East, Africa, and parts of Asia and the Pacific. World War II was an even bigger conflict that involved over 50 nations from every part of the world. It lasted from 1939 to 1945. This is the deadliest conflict the world experienced, with an estimated 80 million dead, 55 million of which are civilians, and numerous cities in Europe and Asia reduced to rubble. Among those killed were around 6 million Jewish people killed in Nazi concentration camps. The United Nations was created after the war to negotiate between countries and ensure that a war of such scale will never happen again. Cold War was a decades-long and indirect rivalry that happened between USA and USSR after World War II, as each struggled for supremacy in favor of capitalism and communism. This led to the rise of the Iron Curtain and the Berlin Wall, the space race, the arms race, the propaganda wars, and the proxy wars. Advancement in technology resulted in the invention of the motion picture and television, computers, mass-produced land, air, and sea transportation, refrigerators, telephones, and cell phones, linking people throughout the world in ways never thought possible by the previous generations. This led to globalization, where people, companies, and governments started to interact on an international scale, expanding their influence beyond their shores. But not all interactions created positive results. Some governments and groups aimed to spread terror among the people in their quest for dominance. After the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks on the United States, the country led a global military campaign that had important consequences for security, human rights, international cooperation, and governance. In order for ordinary people to participate in peace efforts, digital advancements once reserved for the military was made available to the public. The internet blew up very quickly, making any information available instantly and connecting people through the social media. The importance of connections was made obvious during a global pandemic that stopped the world's regular activities for several months and forced everyone into lockdown. COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Anyone can catch the virus, but vulnerable populations like the elderly and those with underlying conditions can be seriously ill or die. After 3 years, many countries have returned to a new normal type of operations. The latest data has over 770 million confirmed cases of COVID-19, with almost 7 million deaths. Throughout all this, man has continued to thrive in this world, creating more innovations and breaking barriers. A society of different cultures living together in peace. The ideas discussed in this video are based on the content standards of the Department of Education. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next lesson.